Lola, 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 thank you for the raid. I appreciate it so freaking much. All right. So I decided to try something. Hi everybody, what's up? I'm Audra. I mostly play shooters, but I'm trying to stay awake and horror games are my nemesis, so because I will really sleep all damn day because it's so hot in Texas. It's 100 degrees every day.
Hello,
Cheers.
motherfucker.
Hi Heather. What's up? All right. I'm trying to determine what I should be doing here. Like, this is a new little thingy thing. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on now. They literally didn't tell me what to do. They're just like, move the camera. Oh. Do y'all hear Bo? What am I supposed to do with this? L2. Okay, drop objects. Throw objects. Hold object. Hold to place object. Release when in a valid location. So can I just pick that back up? No, I don't know where it went. Okay, so. Okay. Yo, this is giving me like a little... That seems fine. I am slightly worried about my spirit. Okay, back to Blister in the Sun. Okay. I'm giving myself like a smidgen of panic. There's no reason to panic. Nothing's even happened. Relax. I'm sitting straight up because my back sucks. Let me have a nice day. Like, let me have a nice-ish day. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me make sure. Okay. What the fuck was that? It was a moth. It was a moth. Everything's fine. Listen. Not me panicking over the moth. But yes. Did I just go back? Oh, no. Okay. When I'm a walking, I strut my stuff. Man, I'm so strung out. I'm high as a kite. I just might stop to check you out. Nah, nah. When I'm so strung out, I'm high as a kite. I just might stop to check you out. I don't. I can hear the game music in the back, and it's not good. I'm getting panicked. Stop it. Stupid game. I am having a Modelo Chelada Mango y Chile. I forgot I moved the chat, so I'm sorry. I was like, what's going on? Is nobody saying anything? No, you just moved it. Ding dong. I can't jump in there. I'm keeping this bottle because if I have to throw it at some motherfucker. Okay. Press to begin inspecting. All right, so let me just drop that. Okay, right? I'm gonna pick this up and I can rotate it. All right. And I'm just holding this weird ass cup. Listen, I do not like truly I best sponsor ever. I thought that this would be kind of fun because it's like relaxed. Literally, I'm here because it's so hot here in Texas that like you just kind of want to take naps all the time. Oh, I was just making sure there's nothing in it. Oh, fuck. Why am I crouching now? Oh, I don't like it. I hope this... See, I'm already, like, my heart rate's already going up. I don't think my blood pressure can take this shit. Because if somebody comes out of somewhere, I swear to God, I'm going to just be up out my seat. Oh, God. Oh, God. It was literally... Oh, I don't like that. It's dark as shit in here. I'm not a fan. Now I have a pin for what? Y'all, I don't like it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why did the... Oh, Jesus. The light just went out. I don't like that. I don't... Oh my God. Oh my God. What's that? Nope. Nope. I'm finished. Listen. Oh my God. There's a baddie. Can I crouch? Am I dying? He seems relaxed about this situation. Can I stab him? Oh my God, Jesus. The fact that that happened to the soundtrack of fucking Viva La Vida.
Huh?
No.
I don't know. How?
Forrest, is this a joke?
No, I almost swore I heard something.
Oh,
That
and here I was.
that body clenching atmosphere. Thank you. It was booty clenching. I can't see because the heat fucks up my eyes.
I know what a cat is, but I mean, does Gallows Creek have a stray cat problem or something?
Oh my God.
Not since the rats moved in. Anyway, you ready to do the pre-flight
That was
checks?
like not,
Seriously?
that was not okay
Do
with
you
me.
have to do these checks every time, and do you have to call them that?
Reggie pays us to check the equipment before each show, and he pays us to call it a pre-flight check. But if you're sure you don't want to...
How did they say I put shit down again? I forgot already. There we are. Oh, it's a soundboard.
Let's start with record playing.
Done.
Great. Now turn it off. Press the
Okay.
stop button on the record player.
Go, what'd she tell me to do? She was like, listen, we know I can't listen.
Hey Forrest, I know it's a good track, but we need to move on.
First of all, girl, you better stop fucking pissing me off.
Alright, up next, phone line buttons. Your captain will be waiting to take your call on line 1.
Ugh. This is...
Line 1 is the leftmost.
Fuck line 1! This is so complicated.
Peggy, ready for you on line 1.
Who's Peggy? This is Captain Donald Key calling. Call me Don.
This is very complicated. I'm like, oh, I'm nervous.
when you need my help during the show.
Is there a Peggy mute button?
They haven't invented it yet.
Okay, I'm pressing the Peggy
Step
mute
one,
button. All right.
the Peggy button is the third one on the phone line. I labeled
Panic. Okay.
Press for Peggy.
This is your brain, Forrest. Sorry I made you such an unfun turkey.
Is she making fun of me?
Am I? Okay. Are we almost
I don't
done?
like it.
Sound Blaster next.
That's an easy one. There we go. Always good for a cheap laugh.
Alright, we're almost done. Just the volume sliders left. These should let you affect pretty much everything. But let's test it with a record. Play a record and change the volume with the music slider.
All right. Seems to be all working. We done, Captain?
We sure are. Coming in for landing. Local time?
Should not encourage you.
I knew you had a fun side.
It's my fun side that gets me in trouble.
Now, let's get the show started. After your introduction,
Oh my God.
the first segment is Guess
I don't like any of this actually.
Thought that was a joke.
Nope, and don't blame me for this one. It's Reggie all the way, and he demands we do it tonight.
Okay, I can throw paper.
Okay, Forrest, shut the music off.
My name is Forrest, apparently.
Okay, you're live in 3, 2.
189.6.
Don't make me push anything. I'm getting panicked. I'm like, no, I'm already getting nervous. It's already too much.
Good evening, Gallows Creek. This is your host, Forrest Nash, and you're listening to 189.16, The Scream. Before we start taking your calls tonight on Gallows Creek's only late-night phone-in talk show, I need to let
This
you
is
know about a
panic-inducing.
special competition we have for you this evening. Guess that scream.
This is actually one of the station manager's better ideas.
Here's how
How's
it
that?
goes. I'm gonna play you a scream, then you call and
Guess that
guess
scream.
that scream. We need you to guess why they're screaming. Did they stub their toe? Saw off a
I'm getting
finger?
nervous about how this is gonna
Discover the
go.
corpse of a loved one.
Thorn, hi. It's Baphomet. Yes, it's little Baphomet.
Call in to guess that scream. Peggy,
Welcome in, Thorn. Can I get a shout out for
I
Thorn?
just have a tape guy do that for me.
You're not in Chicago anymore, Forrest. Here in Gallows Creek, you get to be your own tape guy. Come on, I gave it to you yesterday. Forrest, you do have the tape right. You knew we were doing this tonight.
Girl, you know I don't.
Let's be real. Guess that scream is a terrible idea. No, I don't have the tape.
It may be a stupid idea.
How do I not have the tape?
It's gonna be fun. We're going to need a scream tonight, Forrest, and you're the one at the mic, so...
Are you serious, girl?
Peggy, you want me to scream. You know this show depends on my golden voice, right?
Come on, Forrest, just do it.
I'm on the ground anyway.
Just think of a scream and let it rip.
Oh God. Sorry.
Oh
about
my
that.
God.
I'm back. Had to step away there for a second. Listen close, and then call in to guess that scream.
Why? Okay, let's do the falling from a cliff scream, right? You're packing for your trip to go yell at the school district. Noise! There's nothing more exciting than like...
You could win 2 tickets to the amazing Maze Maze.
Okay, thank you. That was like making me feel very irritated. I was just like, I just want those stupid headphones to go back up there.
239 K-Fam with your guest. Now, here's some music.
Oh,
while you
son
get
of a
dialing.
biscuit. Yeah.
Time to go on the journey that is Blast Processor with their hit song 1980X.
Okay, alright. So all the stuff I keep doing in Texas, I really need to just move back when I graduate. Ah.
Thanks.
I can't wait to hear what people think that was.
How the hell did I get into this mess?
Lighten up, Forrest. That's gonna be the highlight of my week.
Peggy.
Oh, Forrest, there's a call coming in.
From
Time to turn the
where?
music off. Okay, Forrest, shut the music off.
Oh, girl, get off my back. I'm trying.
Welcome to 189.16.
Okay, I did it.
Scream, caller.
No, don't move back here.
We're
It's
talking to
it's
Forrest
worse than it
Nash.
was when you
What's
left.
going on with you tonight?
Forrest, thank God I made it through. My name is Leslie Harper. I'm the 911 operator and
I feel like
police
this is about to go bad.
Gallows Creek.
Welcome to the show, Leslie. Are you calling in to guess that scream? As a 911
And it's
operator,
getting worse and worse.
you may have an educated guess.
What? No. Look, I found a body and I need your
Girl,
help.
I'm a radio station.
Is calling me to report a body.
But that's why, like, I'm down there. But I know.
Forrest, I recognize her voice. I'm pretty sure that actually is our 911 operator.
Girl, what?
I think this is real.
Peggy. I'm
I
not
like that I
mad
can't
that
see
this
her.
is a
She's just,
prank.
like, over
I don't
there.
do prank segments on my shows. It's in my contract.
Forrest, I really don't think this is a prank.
Leslie, I'll level with you. I find this hard to believe, but I'll hear you out. What exactly is going on?
Sheriff Matthews.
Look,
What? Sheriff Matthews?
the sheriff is dead, bitch. Wait.
That's never happened before, so I came to the station and
I'm getting frightened.
Oh, God. Poor Sheriff Matthews. Do you know what happened to him?
someone got
That's very true, Thorn.
someone got
That's
him.
very true. Actually, there are places that you could be, I will say,
What they did to him.
Did he fight back?
here, that,
I think he tried.
you know.
He's surrounded by bullet casings. I think he tried to shoot at whoever it was, but
Well, is anyone else at the station? Anyone who can help you? Or who might
Girl,
be
I don't really
listening?
care about your problems right now.
checked everywhere. Deputy
Knocked out. The deputy's knocked out. Listen,
knocked
can we
out,
go?
tied
Can I
up,
go?
left in a
Oop.
holding cell.
Can I leave, please?
called you
Can I
right
get out of
after I
here?
found her.
I don't like it.
Wait. Please don't tell me that this hick town.
It does only have 2 cops for us, and we're about to get
We have
murdered.
3. But Officer Gunderson is on leave in Cancun.
Leslie, do you have any idea who could have done this?
Not a
No.
clue. I didn't see anything on my way over.
Leslie, you need to call over to Henderson or Quiet Ridge. They need to send someone over from their department.
I tried.
My goal is to have such a successful salon that I can afford to be a public menace. I like that.
Know what's going on and bring
That is a
help
good
back
goal.
with me.
But if you leave while there's a murderer on the loose, who's gonna man the emergency line?
That's why I called.
Girl,
I
what?
routed all 911 calls to come into you.
I don't like that.
I'm a radio talk show host, Leslie. I talk to idiot people about their idiot ideas. I'm not a 911 operator. Why?
Yeah, why are you
Only person with experience
manning a phone line, but not for 911, girl? She has lost her whole marble.
Besides, there are lots of transferable skills between the two. It's like an interview. You ask questions to get information you can use.
I feel like
People talking, you know?
I'm gonna have to be answering bunches of calls and like freaking out.
You do know that I'm so good at interviews. They sent me from Chicago to Gallows Creek, right?
So I've heard. But that doesn't matter. And besides, there are 2 of you. You can talk to each other, discuss ideas, work together. Hell, let's have some on-the-job training right now. I have an emergency. I need to get an unconscious Deputy Martinez out of that holding cell. It looks like whoever attacked her threw the keys into the cell.
Do y'all see my face? I'm like panicking. I'm like, someone shot the sheriff, but they didn't shoot the deputy. I hate you, Lola. Also, I need a shout out for Lola, please. Thank you again for the raid. I was like just getting started. Oh, great. My ADHD has me like, I wasn't paying attention.
Any chance you could break down the door?
It's
Oh, shit, I meant to go down.
Forrest. These doors aren't budging for anybody.
That's my fault. That made me look dumb.
There's got to be another set of keys somewhere in that office. Those can't be the only one.
Of course. Yes, there must be another set.
Where might another set be?
Maybe Sheriff Matthews had a set of keys on him when he, you know.
I couldn't see any at a glance, but I didn't really look up close. 1 second.
It's giving me panic.
Oh, I think I might be sick. So
Oh, girl.
I'm just gonna turn you over.
Oh, close his eyes, girl. Close your eyes. Every now and then I get a little bit.
Wait, might be that. I think I got the cell keys.
Looks like Sheriff Matthews might have saved his deputy. Do the keys work?
They do. Give me a minute to untie Deputy Martinez. I'll be right back.
So far, so good, I suppose. How are you feeling, Forrest?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do it anyway. It doesn't matter.
That's
That's the
right.
point of the game.
Maybe we can handle this 911 business.
That's the spirit.
We don't
Forrest.
want to,
I
but
think
we've
you're
got
right.
to. This is really
Well,
pretty, by the
what
way.
I say,
I just wanted to say, like,
I really hope this is the only call like this we get.
Same.
Come on, Martinez.
quite gorgeous.
There we go. Just gonna sit you in your office chair. I'll head to my car in a minute. I'm back. Deputy Martinez is still out cold. I'm taking her in the car with me to get help in Henderson. If the killer came back now, Martinez would be a sitting duck.
Oh, no, no. Yeah, I want to close that door. I'm so sorry. Oh, no, 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 not like that. Okay.
You mean we're gonna be Peggy and me, and no one else, responding to emergency calls?
You'll be fine. You and Peggy just work together like you did earlier.
All right, I think I can put music on it again, right? Right? Because there's something fun about it being like boom, boom, boom.
My car!
Girl, your car's on fire. Leslie is in trouble, y'all.
It's on fire.
How the hell? Did it just go
Oh
up in
my
smoke?
God.
What happened?
Wait. What?
Leslie?
No way. This
What do you mean big trouble, Leslie?
Forrest, we have big trouble.
What's happening? What's that noise? It sounds like whistling.
Whistling?
It can't be.
Oh my god. I can see him.
Oh my god, it's like a killer come to life shit.
But that mask. How the hell is he?
Who, Leslie? Who?
The whistling
The
man.
whistling man. That does not sound scary.
That mask. He's dead. What the hell?
Oh,
I'm sorry. They're like, it's the whistling man. Like, he just gonna whistle at me?
that's Sheriff Matthews and Deputy Martinez?
He's coming this way.
Leslie, stay inside and lock the doors.
Right. Shit, we need a new plan. My car is torched.
Do a poll. Hold on. Can I do that? Do I know how? I don't think I know how to do a poll. How does everybody else do it? With like, intelligence? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh no, I don't know how to do things. Wait, can I do it from this one? Hold on. I'm trying to learn new skills. Please hold while I learn the skills. No, I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry. What? Slash poll? Because I never have it up on my desktop anymore because it makes everything like extra angry. But I swore that there was just like an easy spot for you to just be like, pull. But now, no. No. Let me see. Is it that slash? Oh, I almost spelled out. Did I do it right? No. So one for run, 2 for Hyde, and 3 for Cruiser. Because I feel, personally, yeah, I don't know where it went. It used to be like easily accessible on my chatty thing, but it's not anymore. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. What did I do? I don't care. I'm like, stop it. Okay. I don't know why they made it like complicated. And I'm afraid we're like 3, take the Cruiser. Are we sure that we want to take the Cruiser though? Are we positive? Okay, Heather, you're going to be the tiebreaker. Don't choose 2. Don't choose 2. Because I'm like, ooh. Okay. Yes, Thorn. Yeah, it's like, which of these things should we be doing? I feel like when you hide, you die. But when you run, you die. But when you take the vehicle, you die. I feel, oh gosh, okay, so we're running for it. All right.
You need to run for it. The whistling man might break through the door.
We can't run for it.
Fuck Deputy Martinez.
And what are we going to do? Run
Who
to
cares?
Hamilton on foot?
There should be police.
Gosh, they're gonna make us take the vehicle. Okay, Lola.
Yeah, that could work. Let me check if Martinez has any. I'll just reach in your
Ugh.
pocket there, deputy, and yes, got him. Keys
Okay,
were
so you're gonna take squad car 3.
worked out front when I got here.
And the feeling went everywhere. You die. How am I supposed to get us to the car? Girl, the whistling man is right here. Take Sheriff Matthews' gun because Deputy Martinez is going to need their gun. We're going to need 2 guns. So,
The sheriff must have a gun, right? Can you see it?
There was a gun next to him. Let me grab it.
shit.
Shit.
I needed 2
He must
guns.
have emptied it trying to defend himself.
I'm going to die. I'm going to get Leslie killed. Gotta keep the booty clenched.
Pepper spray and taser. I can only hold one.
I can. So she has a baton, pepper spray, and taser. Which should I take? 1 for pepper spray, 2 for taser, and 3 for baton. I feel like the baton is not the one to take because you kind of have to be up close and personal with it. The taser is good because you don't necessarily have to be right next to them, I think, if it's the one with the little thingies that shoot out and go. But if this is the 90s, you might have to be like right up on them. The pepper spray, you can. You know what I mean? Pepper spray is always a good friend. Lola, this is a very unbelievable horror game. Okay, so we're going with taking the pepper spray.
The pepper spray should be easy to use and carry. Take that.
Got it.
Wait, this is becoming fun now. Hold on.
Grab Deputy Martinez
Audience
and-
participation is a requirement.
Wait. Do you hear that?
Is it the fucking whistling?
Yes, but just to make sure we mean the same thing. What do you hear?
The knocking stopped. Everything's gone really quiet.
Be careful.
Be careful. I don't like it.
Me neither. But it's an opening, and I've got.
No, don't take it.
Okay, Deputy Martinez. You're hooked into dispatch now, so I should be able to radio you when I reach the car. If I reach it.
Speak to me soon.
Good luck, Leslie.
That's one brave woman.
So do I,
God,
Peggy.
I hope she
This
makes
is
it through
awkward for
this.
all of us.
You know,
Now I'm just gonna be over here
really wasn't what I expected when I came into work.
playing records
Well,
and
they
shit.
always say you have to be ready for everything in live radio. Oh, I think we've got Leslie back on the line. I'm putting the call.
Oh god, it's Leslie. Oh god, please tell me that she's not dead.
Peggy? This is Leslie. Are you there? Over.
We're here, Leslie. So I guess you made it to the car then.
Why are we still saying over? Sorry about the CB chat old habit, but yes, we made it to the car. Okay, alright.
Martinez is in the passenger seat, still out cold. I don't see the whistling man anywhere, and I don't plan to wait for him.
Hi, Mimi Moon Pie. Welcome in.
Get back!
Oh no, it is the whistling man. He's coming. What's happening?
What's happening?
The whistling! No!
Oh my god, I don't like this. I can't even. This is worse than being like in a regular horror game because I can like.
Pepper spray's not working. It's not getting
Oh, for fuck's sake! I didn't think about the mask. Oh, we should have brought the taser. Hold it together.
You need to hold it together right now.
Forrest.
It doesn't matter, Leslie. You're alive. Thank you. It is Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. It is a hot ass Texas Sunday.
Part to play now.
And I'm just literally trying not to be asleep all day because it's so hot that you can't function.
But it's pretty damn close. It's going to take a while, maybe 2-3 hours.
Oh my god. Leslie,
Slightly less. If I
put your foot down then.
You keep that pedal to the floor then. We'll see when you're back.
Thank you. I'll be back as fast as I can.
Yeah. Heather, it is. How is your Sunday going, Mimi?
I need a minute.
Are you safe? Is it hot where you are? I'm hot. I'm fine.
I'll be out of range.
Mmm.
I'll radio back as soon as I can.
Yeah, this is,
Calvary.
This is really bad here. It's really bad.
Good luck, Leslie.
I think on Wednesday it's gonna be like 117 degrees Fahrenheit.
Folks, you heard it here.
My feelings are hurt.
Killer on the streets of Gallows Creek tonight. Please make sure to stay safe. And Leslie, we're counting on you. We're gonna get back to the show meanwhile. If you have anything on your mind or have
Okay.
any information about this Whistling Man character, then give us a call.
I've been hungover all day, so just chilling and eating junk food. Yes.
The Scream. For now, here's another.
All I want to do is sleep because it's so freaking hot, and I hate it.
Enjoy this classic by Smooth. It's their hit song, The Word. This is not what I signed up for, Peggy.
This is actually
Ah.
insane.
Did she really say it's going to take her 4 hours?
She did say it's gonna take her 4 hours. Actually, it's really sucky.
Forrest, that's not helpful.
I know, I just...
Yeah, tell me who the Whistling Man is.
He was a serial killer back in the 50s. Edward Marshall Mooney. Went around in a freaky mask.
Whistling and killing. I am going. I can't. I'm probably not.
Well, police chased him up to Ellis Point one night. We call it Whistling Point now. And it was, well, it was on this night actually.
Oh, so he died today.
Police cornered him, jumped into
Great.
the river.
This is fantastic. So the Whistling Man was murdered today.
Alive? Dead? I mean...
He's a murderer.
Story is he's biding his time, waiting to take revenge on the town.
That's what I ask myself every time I go to take my braids
Other
out. I'm
than
like,
we have
why
a
is there so
whistling
much
killer
head?
on our hands tonight.
Like it didn't. I don't know what she just said.
I guess we'll find out what we're dealing with, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
I guess so.
At least we got the word out, I guess. What kind of listening figures do we get at this time?
On a Thursday after midnight.
35 people. Oh my
maybe
god.
around
I love it. Like, I've been enjoying it. I have been like getting it wet in the morning,
Gallows Creek was at large.
No, 30 people.
so that I'm not as hot in the sun, like when I'm getting jacked up.
35 at best.
35, yeah. It's a
This is a
school
shitty
town.
town. Well, yeah. What is the population of this?
I don't know exactly.
Oh my
A
god.
little over 1,000?
So 35 is
How many did you
good.
get before? You know.
Before my career exploded, and
Oh.
I ended up on a midnight hour talk show in the town of 1,000 people.
Okay, he had some career
Good
problems.
for that.
Around 5 for most shows on the low end. Big gas could pump that up to 10, 15, easy.
5,000 on the low end? We could only dream of that.
5 million.
Oh my god, did he say million?
Yeah, sometimes that's just the way.
He
it
was really
goes.
cool.
At least the Whistling Man hasn't given me
You'll be like, listen, and listen. I know we're supposed to do all these things for our froze, you know, like, oh, sleep with the bonnet on and blah, blah. But listen, it's hot. No,
Take it when you're ready.
leave me alone.
When you're ready, shut the music off.
Oh, this is hard to like
Hello,
press.
caller. You're live on
One-
189.16. The
189.116, the scream.
All right.
Oh shit, it's the Whistling Man. I know it's him.
Who is this?
I know it's him.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, everybody get ready and welcome to the summer of streaming, by the way. I'm gonna stream until it's not too hot. I sleep on a satin pillow and that's as much as I'm gonna do for now. Bear sweating and all that. Yes.
I've come back from the dead to kill
Is that the Whistling Man?
no one.
I feel like that's not true.
You don't have to do this, Mr. Whistling Man. You don't have to kill again.
Oh, but I do. You must make a sacrifice
What?
to us.
A sacrifice? To us.
I mean, me. We want cheese-dusted pretzels.
It's definitely not the Whistling Man.
I want cheese-dusted pretzels. Or
Our career is dead.
cut your face off.
Can I just like...
Goddamn kids. I'm cutting them off.
Can I just like say fuck those kids? I'm like, ah.
For anyone just tuning in, we do in fact have an actual killer out in the streets tonight. This next one's dedicated to all of you staying inside with your doors and windows locked. Like,
Why are all these records so upsetting?
now is stalking the town
It's a thing.
a thing?
Ugh, kids around here. They pull pranks pretending to be him.
By pretending to be this Whistling Man character?
They think it's funny. It's not. It's not funny at all.
And there's no chance that our Whistling Man was just a prank. That Leslie...
No, that's real.
So, what do you mean that's real? Like, I don't
Let's
like
stay
that.
positive. We still have a show to do. We already have another caller.
Oh, excellent. Another
Alright.
fucking shitty caller.
Let's do this.
Okay, Forrest, shut the music off.
Girl, every time I forget to turn off the goddamn music.
Hello, caller. You're live.
Why can't I just turn it
Scream
down?
With me, Forrest Nash.
What? I dialed 911.
Oh, hey, Sandra. All right, y'all. Here we go. Here comes the
Filling in for 911 tonight.
here comes the fun part. We're filling in for 911. I will definitely require your assistance to make sure I am making the right choices. The sheriff is dead. I think I should say the cops aren't
I'm
coming.
sorry, but the cops aren't coming. Leslie's on her way to Henderson for help.
What? God. Listen, you've got to help me then. I drove to the edge of town for a jazz run, and now some psycho dressed like the Whistling
Oh.
Man is after me, knife in hand.
Knife in hand.
It's actually happening.
Okay, obviously, I mean, I do want to know what a jazz run is, but but I think that might get her killed. Like, well, what's a jazz run?
Where are you now? Did you escape to somewhere safe?
Oh, I did, baby. I jazz
What the
ran
fuck is
over
jazz
the
running? I have to know.
but I dropped my keys somewhere along the way.
Bitch.
I never locked the door, Chris. I've got a place to hide, but I can't get moving.
Is there anywhere else you can go? Do you have any
We're not gonna
friends?
find the keys, okay?
Going back out there. I
There's no way. Fucking jazz run your goofy ass somewhere.
Oh shoot. Oh, he's back.
Oh my god, Sandra's gonna die, y'all. I can feel it. Do y'all feel like Sandra's about to like lose her life? Like I feel like this is.
And you're gonna have to help me.
Wait, I don't.
If this helps, I've got a toolkit buried beneath my spare sweatbands. I'll call you back when
Let's not dance to Jordan.
You're listening to 189.16 The Scream. Hosted by me, Forrest Nash. Your friendly neighborhood.
Ah,
radio host.
this is a Canadian or British type game because of how neighbor is
Sit tight
spelled.
while the record
The
spins,
developers are
folks.
those things.
This one goes out to you, Sandra.
Yes, we're gonna introduce the song.
It's groovy. It's stabbing.
I dedicated a song about stabbing. Is it running with? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is she just like running like?
Tamora twins or something.
Like is she being like, yeah? She runs.
You know they're not even brothers. I know.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even related. It's weird. I asked them about it once, and they got really sweaty and defensive. Anyway, go see what you can find. The offices are out the door.
Girl, I'm not going out there. I do not want to go out there. That seems not fair. Oh my gosh, this is the town. I really don't want to be out here. I'm so serious. I don't even remember what she wanted. Hey. Wait. Exclamation point refresh. I am back. I'm getting like slightly panicked. I don't. Did she say like, what does she want? I hate this so bad. What is this? Oh, okay. But I feel like he's gonna come in anyway. I don't like it. And I don't like that the doors don't shut properly.
So many locked doors, so few keys.
I hate it. I hate, like, this is giving me like anxiety and he's not even in here. It's just stressing me out to like literally walk in this office. It's making my like really real talk, my booty cheek. Ugh, cause just the booty cheeks are clenched. I hate it. Why can't I grab that? I don't want any of that. Like, I'm just looking for fucking keys or some shit. Oh, I'm getting panicked. Do y'all see how, like, my face looks constipated? It's because I don't like this. What does it say? Dear Bradley Carter, please enjoy a free sample of garlic bread. We've pinned our latest offers and deals on the outside of the box if you want to read them out on air. Grilling Spree's new offer is terrible, and we think you should read our advert instead. P.S. A connoisseur like you needs to try our 3-hour slow roasted pizza. What? Much love, Ponte's Pizza. Hey, I ate the garlic bread. Much like your show, it was mediocre. The deal is worth checking out, though, John. Profiles of Chupacabra are the best in town. Despite being a pricey option and offering no deals, the El Diablo burrito has the best mouthfeel, and those huevos rancheros are just excellent. Except for the 100th time, it's an audio medium. People won't get its egg and excellent, idiot. Why? Why is that making me laugh? Okay. This pen reminds me of the pen I picked up early in the game. Can I have these scissors or something? Like, I do not like this shit. What am I even looking for over here? She was like, go do something. And I didn't listen to whatever the hell it was she said about what I needed to be looking for. There's a lot of phones in here. Is that cursive? Is that how we see cursive now? I'm sorry. Can I not have that? Why is this game making me so nervous? Like, I don't even want to be near this window. I'm so serious. Let me out of here. I forgot what I was looking for. Does anybody remember? Did anybody see what she was like? It's down hall and on the left or whatever. I just like oh my god, I don't want to be here. GC High wins the big game 2820. Those are not words. Okay. If I open this and something happens, I'm telling you right now, this is not gonna be cute. Like, if somebody pops out at me, there's gonna be a fight. And oh god, oh god. I mean, okay. If
I'm not getting in there tonight.
Okay, well, I don't remember what I was supposed to do. Girl's gonna be mad at me. She's gonna be like, what am I supposed to do, girl?
You find anything?
Remind me when I. Wait, no, I forgot. Girl.
Find anything?
Remind me what I'm looking for again.
The caller is trying to start a car without the keys.
Yeah, and we have...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would go see what they have on their desk at the far end of the offices.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to look at some car mag. Okay. This doesn't say. Full color nuts and bolts action. All right. I feel like that's just trash. Okay. So, okay, what am I gonna find? Oh. Wait. Do you think that it's so dark, I'm not prepared for a jump scare, right? Like, okay, I think that mechanic on duty. Christine's. Can she get to Christine's? Maybe is what I'm... Because I feel like this is the car area. Wait. Did I even test the, this thing? Yeah, no. Okay. And I can't pick up either one of these wrenches. Oh. Wait. I borrowed your car theft magazine. Those huevos rancheros aren't sitting right. Gonna need something to read. Pray for me. Twins, I borrowed your car theft magazine. Okay, wait, hold on. So, it's the guy over here with the huevos and the rancheros. Right? Where's the friggin' magazine? Oh wait, it's in the bathroom. He took a dump. He did. Listen. He took a dump. Okay? And he's like reading their car theft magazine in the bathroom. I don't know which bathroom it is because there it is.
This looks useful.
Ha ha. Why can't I just get it to be like right up? Okay. I found some shit. Alright. Peggy, I got something.
You find anything?
Yeah. I found a magazine about hot wiring cars.
Well, that sounds perfect. Time to turn the music off.
Oh, girl, if you don't...
Caller on line 1.
Thanks, Peggy. We're back with 189.6.
Okay.
The Scream. How are you holding up, Sandra?
The creep's looking through the parking lot trying to find me. But I've got my tools, and I'm ready to get this hunk of junk moving. How do we start this baby?
Okay.
Put the screwdriver in the ignition and twist clockwise.
Here goes, baby.
That is what he said. She was... The screwdriver's too fat to fit. Okay. Step 2. I guess that one. Unscrew the... Jazz turn. 1, 2, 1, 2. What the fuck is this jazz turning? We are using the screwdriver. You are correct. Because I'm not there. I'm having to talk her through these things. Girl, my heart's pumping too. I am also nervous. I'm going to tell her to do her jazz breathing and not panic.
Do your jazz breathing. Don't panic.
Because I don't fucking know what jazz... What? Okay. All right.
A green wire and a brown wire.
Oh, God. Check the serial number. What's the serial
What's
number?
the serial number on the steering column?
The number is 576.
If there is a 4 before a 3 and no 7 in the number, red and blue, there is a 7 in the number. If there is a 6 anywhere and doesn't start with a 5, green and brown. If there is a 0 at the ending and a 3 doesn't come before a 6, red and yellow.
Strip and twist together the red and yellow wires.
All right. We take the red and the yellow and we twist and we turn.
Okay, now we're going to strip the purple wire.
And also see pink and purple wire. What next?
Strip the purple
Brush the
wire
purple wire against the twisted wires. Jazz breathe, jazz breathe. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Fantastic work, baby. Anytime you want to come down to the jazz studio, you get in for free.
You are very welcome.
You just keep driving now, okay? And get home safe.
Get home safe, Sandra.
Will do, baby.
Why is she calling us babies? That was a wild time. That was a wild time.
We did it, Forrest!
Oh my god.
Here comes another.
Y'all, I saved someone. They're alive.
To show you.
And remember, if you're also having
They
trouble
made it out alive. The first one. I got a hold of myself now. What's Peggy out there doing? Nothing. All right. So,
play a record, Forrest.
girl, if you don't get off my back, it's like play a record. I'm working on it, Hobeg. I'm sorry I called you a Hobeg, Peggy.
From Late Night Lurkers.
Dance party. I feel awesome. I'm like, I did it. Listen, I can feel myself like literally trying to go to sleep because it's so hot. Like that's why I'm here. I'm like, stay awake. Peggy, let's be honest.
Peggy, be honest. It's a dump. There's nothing to do here. Hell, I'm almost ready. To
Don't thank the Whistler, fam.
Making things interesting.
Well, I like it here. People are polite and
Hi, Janet.
friendly.
What's up?
Usually, if you get to know them. Come on, there must be something you like about this place.
Let's say some folks have been okay because it's rude to be hateful.
They're not terrible. After all.
I am in the middle of a murder mystery, Janet.
High praise
Some
coming
of it
from
is
Forrest.
interactive.
Mean Peggy.
I do. It's Forrest Nash for I think you're swell. Anyway, I hope the killer is done for the night and that Leslie gets back soon.
Me too.
And that Sandra survives.
Can we at least call off that Stu Guess the Scream?
Yeah, can we do that? Can we
Yeah,
call that?
would probably be a good idea.
All right, so we've made it to 12:42 end game.
On line 1.
I gotta get my eye drops. Give me a second. I'm gonna like do that right quick. Oh, there are keys, there are records, there's shit to collect in this game. There's stuff. Oh, I'm supposed to be making it into the trash. Oh, okay. There's a lot of things happening here that I didn't know were happening. I'll be right back, y'all. Give me like 5 minutes. Drops procured because it's humid and hot and it's like burning my eyes. Like it's literally like my eyes feel like they're on fire. I hate this. I hate this weather. I can't believe it's happening like this. The earth is warming the frick up. Bad news for us. Now more murder. We've got a caller, folks.
We have a call waiting. Okay, Forrest, shut the music
Oh,
off.
I'm shutting. You know what? Can't I just go like this? Or are they gonna actually force me to
When you're ready, shut the music off.
shut the music off? Okay, that's
This is
annoying.
Forrest Nash, host of 189.16 Scream. And tonight's
Okay.
911 stand-in.
Hey, Forrest. My name is Brian. Brian Ponte. Brian Ponte.
I know who you are, Brian.
Pizza.
Hello, Brian Ponte.
Hello, Brian Ponte of Ponte's
What
Pizza.
have you got to say about what's happening?
I'm so
Yeah,
sad that Deputy
that's my fault.
arrested
And y'all's chat.
here at Ponte's Pizza.
This is but yeah, I'm so serious. This is the summer of streaming. All my channels, everything. I'm gonna, if you're a channel member or a patron, what's about to start happening now is everything's gonna be streamed there, and then I'm gonna put it together.
It's the least I can do. And if you
I wasn't paying attention to what he's doing. This game is not for ADHD people. I'm having some difficult times here, y'all. It's a tough time.
Sounds great, bro.
And let me tell you, the pizza we have
Maybe not
is
say to die for because people are and dying. Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
It's all right.
You're welcome, Ponte.
I just hope I didn't put you or anyone else off coming on down to
No, we'll come to
Ponte's
Ponte's Pizza.
We've got a
Listen.
great special this weekend. Our famous
Ooh, a beer and pizza deal. I'm in, fam.
come on down to Ponte's Pizza this weekend. You've just got to pay for one slice to get yourself.
God damn it, you're just calling in to ask.
Peggy, hang up.
Oh,
Thank you.
real quick, before I forget, it's probably time we played a paid ad.
Oh no, how do I do that?
From our sponsors.
You know how to play an ad.
No, girl.
Nope.
In-flight check time.
Christ.
Our captain would like to remind you that the station is required by law to play advertisements. for
Okay,
our
so
sponsors.
how do
Grab
I...
a cassette and stick it in the player.
Oh, okay.
The cassette player is on the desk in front of you, just above the sound blaster. There should be a cassette in the dock nearby.
Okay.
Done.
Do you see
Oh my god, this is the worst commercial ever.
Are you ready to unlock your inner warrior for only
I love this though.
Step into Master Robbie's deadly dojo of Kung Ra-Te.
Listen, I'm gonna have to like, listen, I only have like, the next time that the timestamp comes up, I'm gonna have to play something with more energy for me because listen, babes. Ooh, Borderlands. I'm getting sleepy.
And the wisdom of the bullfrog.
This ad sucks.
I'll unlock your inner chi after only 5 30-minute video sessions. Ultimate power and wisdom can be yours now for the low, low price of only $24.99. Just call
All right.
555-7861 USA to take your first step to becoming a champion.
All right, thank you.
Never forget the element of surprise. If you buy today, you'll receive
Oh my God.
additional VHS tapes.
Never forget the
tornado
element of
technique
surprise.
and
Oh,
karate
shit.
lovemaking. Call today.
Do people really buy this kind of thing?
Don't pretend like you're not interested.
I am not
I
interested.
wouldn't buy them, but I might watch them, I guess.
Yeah, I bet karate.
Karate lovemaking shirts. The 80s were so wild about karate. Karate.
Let's just. Wow,
Whoop.
what a deal.
There goes my knee.
$24.99,
I need to put something up here.
And I'm not just saying that because they're paying for the airtime.
But unless they pay us more, then it's time to get the show moving along with our next call.
All right. Who's caller?
Welcome
Two.
to the Scream with
Whatever.
me, Forrest Nash.
Yeah, Leslie. This is Maurice Russell from the Gallows Report.
Oh my gosh, it's Maurice from.
This guy just broke in.
Oh no. No. Is he whistling?
Forrest Nash? I want to speak to
I can't.
911.
I am
Put
911.
Leslie on.
Oh no.
Another one?
I am 911.
Listen, me. I'm too good at this.
Son, I don't care who you are. Just put me
Sheriff
on.
Matthews is dead, fam. Everybody's dead. You have to deal with me.
Dead?
Like, just
You witnessed these
get over it. Deal with me.
do an interview, but cite you as an anonymous
I
source.
can't be anonymous because I'm on the radio, dummy.
We're live on the air. Anything. Broadcast.
Live on. Damn it. All right. There's obviously
Yeah.
a lot more going on than I know.
Yeah, there's a lot happening.
I'm frightened for him. He's gonna get murdered
That's nothing to get worked up about.
because I don't like reporters.
Just broke
Okay, guys. Okay,
the
okay.
whistling man.
It's not a kid. It's not a kid. It's the whistling. It's the actual whistling man. What do we do?
And a disappointing twinkle in his daddy's eye.
Not a disappointing twinkle in his daddy's eye.
When he stalked the town. But I was there. I covered it.
And now he's
I
back.
don't know what's going on, but he's back. The Whistling Man is back.
Don't be an ass, Nash. Every year this happens. They think it's funny. Not a big deal, old man.
Sir, I'm not kidding.
They didn't live through the terror.
He's
30
like
years.
not listening.
Anyway, I know for
He's
a
giving
fact
me stress.
Edward Marshall Mooney is dead.
Oh, you know for a fact. How do you know?
I know who I'm looking at on the security monitor. But if he killed Sheriff Matthews,
Where are you now?
I'm in the boardroom, upstairs. We got security cameras all
Oh
around.
no. Okay.
You can watch them on any TV set here. And there's a set in the boardroom.
Brother.
Maurice, is there any way you can get out of there?
Ah, I sure as shit hope so, kid.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. That crash you heard was him tipping
Oh
over
gosh,
my
okay.
filing cabinets. He's blocking the stairs.
I'm guessing the stairs are the only way out.
That's
I'm not
right.
moving, Heather.
And it would take me a good
I am
few
not
minutes
moving
to
now.
move those cabinets.
We need to do something. But what? All we can do
Will you
from here
sit?
is- Forrest, I think I've got it.
Call the killer.
They'd have a bunch of phones set up across the office, right? In different
Girl,
rooms
what?
with different extensions. So we call one of them. Draw the killer away.
Why Maurice time? I could work.
Okay.
It's worth a shot.
I can hear you, you know. The son of a bitch hasn't killed me yet.
Sorry,
We know.
Maurice. Peggy and I were just trying to figure out.
Realize how stupid that plan sounds.
It's better than your plan of just getting murdered, sir.
You're gonna need every
We're gonna save Maurice, and then I'm gonna do some stuff. Don't worry about lurking.
all delivered while the killer is en route.
You can
I've got it.
unlurk. You can exclamation point lurk. You can exclamation point unlurk. It's all a wavy gravy time. Oh my god. How do I call him though?
You don't think the killer got him, do you?
Mr. Russell.
I'm here. Freak's going to be here any second too. Go check your fax machine. Don't let me down.
Where's my fax machine then?
Go, Forrest. The fax machine's in the office on the other side of the hall.
Thanks, Peggy. Be right back.
Yeah, I was trying to go.
Okay, go to the office on the other end of the hall. Grab the fax from the machine. Easy. This must be it.
Okay.
Hey, did you get the fax?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
You,
What room is he
still
in?
with us?
I am. You get my fax?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay, I have the fox.
I knew you could.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay. I'll explain in just a
We're
second.
back on the line with Maurice. Let's see if we can help him avoid the whistling man.
Okay.
Here's the situation. The whistling man searched every room.
Leading up to the boardroom.
Now,
And now he's in the office next door.
it's now or never. This plan of yours better work.
I'm ready on my end.
Oh my god.
Again, we want to draw the killer away by dialing an extension number, and then move Maurice somewhere safe. So, what extension should I call?
Oh my god. I don't know which one. Okay. Archives. Kitchen. Where is Maurice? Oh my god, does anybody remember where Maurice is? Is he I'm gonna call the boardroom maybe? No, because he faxed me from the boardroom. Okay. Editor's office.
Call the editor's office. The extension is 03.
Got it. I'll put the call through when you're ready.
All right, Nash. Where do I need to go?
Should he go to the kitchen or the archives? He should go, because he's gonna go there into the editor's. Oh god. Oh god. Go to the kitchen.
Moving to the kitchen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Go somewhere he's already checked. Not bad, Nash.
I'm ready to place the call. Are you ready?
Okay.
Don't have much choice.
Oh my gosh, I'm clenched. I'm like so nervous. He's gonna get murdered.
Calling now.
But what if the whistling man is listening to the radio and he knows too what's happening?
I can't believe it. He's actually heading to my office.
Well, fucking go.
It was all Peggy's idea. Credit goes to her.
Don't mention it.
The coast is clear. I'm shutting off the TV. See me on the security
Okay.
cameras. Then, making my move. I'll call when I get there.
Okay, he's gonna call us.
Do you think he'll make it okay?
I certainly hope so.
But now what do? We gotta find some way for him to get past that barricade.
What do you
What
mean?
barricade?
Calling the whistling man is gonna buy Maurice enough time to move those cabinets.
Oh, that barricade.
Maybe we could. Oh.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Call incoming. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be. Put him through.
Alrighty. Mr. Russell, are you there?
Okay. He's like,
I am.
I don't think he saw me. Okay.
Gotta give you credit for that.
I love this song.
Right. Let's review where we are. So the only way out. Is
Everybody
outside,
knows that it's the
which
song on
the whistling
Clueless.
man has blocked with furniture.
Exactly. I can move the furniture out of the way. But not quickly.
Okay. Can we lock him in a room? What do y'all think? Put 1 in the chat if you think that I should go with can you lock him in a room. Put 2 if you think that I shouldn't. I'm like, let me know. Because I think I should try to lock him in a room. Because I feel like if we can lock him in there, we can get out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask that.
Could you lock him in a room? That'd probably buy you time enough, right?
Maybe. Damn
Thank you,
right.
Janet.
Say every door in the office has to unlock from the inside. He'd be able to get out just as soon as... Wait. No. I got it. The secret archive through my office, where we keep our most sensitive records.
Okay. All right. So I need to call the archives so that he'll like think that there's a phone in there.
What have you got back there? Juicy secrets about outer space?
I think.
Peggy, I don't think now's the time.
You're right. Sorry, Forrest.
We're in the big time now. I've got it all figured out. The secret archive. There's no lock on the inside of that room. Only the outside. You can't break out. If we can get him in there, and I lock him in,
We can catch the son of a gun.
Well, I don't care about catching him.
Oh my god, Forrest,
We're not gonna, that's not gonna happen. Oh, I feel like I've made the wrong choices. Nar.
a room for secrets, not gossip. So we don't have a...
But you can't call the archives.
We're gonna need to change it up then. Any ideas, Forrest?
Is there a TV in that room? Maybe that could draw him in.
Of course. I turn it up, he comes in, and I get my...
That's
headphones
true.
off. Think of something else.
Okay.
Maybe we could use a radio.
There's no radio in the secret archives.
I really don't.
Radios at your offices?
I don't like being responsible for other people's lives. I can barely keep myself alive in games. This is insane. I'm so stressed.
Hopkins. He has a little portable radio he never turns off when he's here.
Listen.
Expect that level of self-advertisement from Brian.
No, because if he's.
Not yet.
Don't be a Ponty, Forrest.
That's low.
Oh, you idiots.
I am very upset.
This portable radio should still be here. It should be in the archives, actually. I'll sneak over while our friend is still distracted with his search.
This is stressing me out. Like I like my whole body is just like no, and I'm like I know, no, this is terrible.
Heck, if this works, we might even save the whole town.
There's still a lot to do before we celebrate. Let's just see how it goes first.
What do you mean?
He's not out of there yet. He's still got to find the radio, unblock the stairs.
I know, but we've got a plan for how to do that. And, oh, call it. Together.
I'm just gonna turn it on quickly, make sure it's still got some juice.
Maurice, turn the volume down. We don't want that thing blasting just yet.
Yeah, I knew that, Nash. I was just doing that when you yelled at me. The radio works! If I make it out alive, Hopkins might just get that day off he wanted.
I'm panicking. Please.
Let's do it for Hopkins.
Yeah,
Forrest.
Heather, I tried to play DVD and it went poorly. I tried to fix something. It didn't work out well. I screamed.
Turned up. How am I supposed to draw the killer? I can't be in the room when it's on, or I'm dead.
You just. Oh, that's a good point. But wait, where's
Yeah.
the radio?
We could all just be quiet.
Until you're ready.
If you can do that, then yeah, sure. 189 189.16. Now, even when I know something for a fact, I like to double check. But after your earlier self-advertisement, Nash, I don't think that's necessary. I've got the radio on silent, but I'm tuned in. Now, I just need to
Oh my
get
God.
to the office.
Bro.
We need to make another call, Forrest. Where should we send the killer?
Oh gosh. Okay. He's trying to sneak over into the secret archives, which means he's in the kitchen. So I'm gonna call the boardroom.
Call the boardroom. The extension is 04.
That might work. The boardroom is fairly close to the editor's office, but we haven't seen the killer go there yet. Are you sure?
Let me have a
Let me
think.
have a think again.
Should I really have him go into the archives? Okay, I'm gonna have him go into the archives.
Call the archives. The extension is 01.
Ah,
The archives. Keep your head on, man, or he's gonna
I guess it is the kitchen. I forgot he moved. Jesus.
Call the kitchen. The extension is 02.
That could work. The kitchen is far away from the editor's office.
See, the panic.
The killer searched it before. Are you
She
sure?
said he searched it before. Oh my God, she's giving me so much stress. Should I go with the boardroom, which he hasn't searched, or the kitchen, which he has searched? Heather, thank you. It is like a fucking, I can't handle it. I'm stressed the fuck out. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, so he did run into the kitchen, but now he's Morty or Marty or whatever the reporter is now in the archives. So I think, okay, I'm gonna go with kitchen.
I'm sure. Make the call.
Okay, calling the kitchen now.
He's on the move. I'll call you guys from my
Oh my God.
Looks like we're almost through this nightmare.
He's gonna get killed running out
Hear what you'll say to draw the
of the archives. Who's Mr. Russell?
I'm gonna do my best impersonation of Maurice. I think that'll draw the killer in.
What's your Mr. Russell impression?
I think I gave that masked freak a slip. What a great plan this is, pal!
I'll give you an A for effort. Ooh, call coming in. Here we go.
Okay.
I set the radio in the... Oh. He'd already searched. Son of a...
Oh no. Oh no, Maurice is dead. No.
Gone.
That's two people I've helped kill. Oh my God, I'm a fucking asshole. I knew I should have gone with the goddamn boardroom. These sons of bitches. I can't believe they did this to me. I'm so upset right now.
Hope you enjoyed this one. Well, this is gonna be a long night.
Oh my God.
I feel like it's going pretty quickly to me. I could ask you some questions to speed things along.
No, I don't.
Interview me. You sure
I don't want to
about that?
talk anymore, Peggy.
Scary. Besides, we've been working together like a week now, and you're
Fuck.
still all shrouded in mystery.
I don't want to talk, Peggy.
What do you want to know?
Question 1. Tell me about your family.
What? Come on, Peggy. That's too general.
Okay. Did anyone move with you?
This
to
song
that
is like so
area?
joyful.
No, that's too
Listening to
specific.
Tongue Tied by Group Love after Maurice was killed on my
Do
watch.
you have any...
I
Oh,
don't. I'm an only child, and my folks are dead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Forrest.
ouch.
It's okay, Peggy. That's how it goes. Anyway, what about you? Any siblings? Your mom and pop still around?
I thought I was asking the questions.
I'm just making
Janet,
conversation now.
Oh,
listen.
my folks went the same way as yours.
What happened there?
My dad walked out when I was about 13. He'd been a wreck for a while. Then he got himself into a wreck, and, well, that was Dad. Mom didn't take it well.
These people are
She remarried pretty
delightful.
quick after that. She wanted to forget Dad so bad, she even made me take my stepdad's last name. So I'm Peggy
Just
Weaver.
delightful.
Anyway, Mr. Weaver got sick one day, and
Oh, wow. This is great.
I'm sorry to hear that, Peg.
don't call me Peg.
1, 2,
Sorry,
3,
I was just
4.
trying to be.
It's okay, I know. I'm sorry. I'm defensive about that name.
Any siblings?
Funny you mention that now. No. Not anymore.
This is why I don't like
Had
small
a
talk.
sister, but
Everything she's saying is stuff where I'm like, oh, I'm upset that you told me this.
someone just rang the door buzzer.
What?
Think someone needs our help?
Maybe. You want to go?
Absolutely the fuck not.
You sure you don't want to go?
No way. I'm locked up tight in here. I'll pass you the key to the stairs.
Gee, thanks, Peggy.
The buzzer's on the front door. See you in a bit.
Okay, down to the first floor, then check the door.
I don't know if I'm making these or not. Yeah. She gave me directions. I already forgot them. I got close once. Yeah. All right. What did she want me to do? Go put my life on the fucking line? Biatch, I'm so mad. Girl, I do not want to do this. Are there keys on the floor? There they are.
Locked tight.
Um, I don't. Oh gosh. Oh, no.
A tape. Play on air.
I don't like this at all. I fucking hate it. I can't even, like, oh my God. My breath. And I'm like just down here making myself miserable because I was looking for keys. Because the game was like, says something about keys. that I found, and I was like, maybe, yeah. All right, let me just. I am unexcited about this.
Who was there?
I didn't see who it was.
Are they still out there?
No. They left as soon as I went down there. They pushed a cassette through the door. It says, "Play me on air."
All right. Well, turn the music off and play it.
I'm upset.
Hello, Gallows Creek.
Oh no.
Pay the
Price. Time to pay for lives. Time to
sit there.
I will punish you. I'm going to enjoy this.
Maybe should have checked on how they put the N dot like the dashes. Lighting like your bedroom. Yes.
Folks, folks, the tape you just heard was passed through our door only moments ago. I don't know how the killer could get from the newspaper to KFAM so quick, but be careful, Gallows Creek. Stay home and stay safe. Give us a call if you need help. You can get us on 911.
Okay. That is more stress than I can handle. That is a lot for like my little self. I am easily like broken down by that. Okay. Did not like that.
I need you for a second.
All right, folks. We need to take a quick break.
Oh my god.
This one's for all those folks out there keeping the hatches battened. All right, Peggy.
95 seconds ago.
Under my door. Go play it.
You stopped the show for a tape?
Just go get it.
I'm gonna go grab this cassette tape that she pushed under her door right quick. And then just a little Borderlands for prosperity. How do I... Ugh. All right. How do I play it off air?
All right, I've got it. Did we forget an ad or something?
I don't know. It was buried in my work mail. I only just saw it. See what it says.
Play me ASAP. Off air.
That's Reggie's handwriting. And he wrote it in purple.
And?
Purple is Reggie's angry color. He only writes in purple when he's really pissed off.
What do you think he's angry about?
I have no idea. Maybe... No, probably not that. I don't know. Just go play it.
No, I'm just gonna finish this out for like 30 minutes and go to sleep. Oh, okay. Because we gotta try to like have one more person live. It's Baphomet. And no, they're saying hello.
Roddy Snatcher?
Yeah, Roddy and I are old friends.
I love Roddy. I Will Always Find You was my song. I wish we still had it in rotation.
Oh my god, I can't believe
No
you know Roddy
cars
Snatcher.
go.
And I can't believe you didn't tell me he sent you his new single. We have to play Final Breath. Where is it?
I don't know. They mailed it to K-Fam, not to me.
Then it's gotta be downstairs at reception.
No, I don't want to go downstairs.
Marvel didn't say anything. Go get Roddy's song before Gina sues the pants off us.
No cars go. I do not like this at all. At all. I just feel like every time I go, like, it just doesn't feel safe. The bisexual lighting, while gorgeous, is like...
This must be it.
Oh my god.
My tiny selection grows. I need a key to get in there.
Oh, I feel like... Oh god, okay. If I get murdered in this game, like, I'm sorry. But I'm for sure gonna have to play this again and not get everybody killed. Hey. What's up, lady?
Got it. Let's get this on the air. Gallows Creek. I'm pleased to say we're in for a much-needed treat. Up next, courtesy of the British sensation himself, is a track you won't hear everywhere. Here's Final Breath by Roddy Snatcher.
Is it playing? I'm gonna assume it's playing. Like, I can't find it. Do y'all hear me breathing hard? Like, how embarrassing. Sure. I'm just gonna slip that back on, I guess. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Like...
What the hell? That was not Roddy Snatcher. Do you actually want Gina to
I
sue
can't
us?
find Roddy Snatcher. Am I in trouble now?
I just noticed we have a caller waiting. I really hope it's nothing
Like, I don't know where
serious.
the album went. I picked it up and it fucking disappeared. Oh, there it is.
I suppose I should take this call.
I know it's a little late, but damn.
Evening caller. Smash, host of
Brothel isn't the worst place on earth.
Scream. And tonight's 911 stand-in.
Oh, why 14 months? That's...
Hello.
That was like...
What do you got for us tonight?
the best... I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I need to start over. I'm like, I need to start over. I've already, like, died a lot. And it's hurt my feelings.
Fernando.
Happy birthday, Fernando.
Thanks. And now, my other thing. I'm putting the word out to this so-called killer. You think you're tough.
Oh no, Murphy, don't do that.
Big knife, huh? Reuben, come face me.
Oh no, Murphy, don't do that.
Gallows waste disposal plant.
That is bad news, sir.
This is a bad idea, Murphy.
I got all the tapes in Master Robbie's Dojo series. So get ready, Whistling Man. You just let loose the junkyard dog.
Oh my god, not the junkyard dog.
And there he goes.
So we're gonna chat in just a second because I'm about to.
Mix up too much.
I can feel myself being like,
Anyway,
I'm so tired.
after this commercial.
I can't untired this from this heat. I feel like what I'm gonna do is like, since I've already played this part of it and hurt my feelings with it, what I'm really gonna do here is
Grab a cassette. We need to play a commercial.
girl, if you don't shut up while I'm trying to work here. All right. Heather, me neither. So, hold on. When this ad is, I'm gonna just do this. We'll come, we'll come back to it. We're gonna just like chat right quick, and then I'll like. He's been waiting for it to like drop a little bit so he can go out and do his biz. All right, BB. Can you hop down for me, please? Oh, hop down, babe. Because we can't share the same space. I know, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you. Get down. Thank you. No, there's not space for both of us. All right. So basically, I realized that I would rather suffer for a year, or in this case, 14 months, rather than spend the money to move and then move again. Because my mom and I are buying a house together. So moving is hella expensive, and it generally costs me quite a bit of money because I always have to get movers because of my job. I don't have the kind of job where I can like have people, you know, he is a baby. I don't really have the kind of job where I have time, energy, mostly energy to like even attempt to move myself. And I don't want to be fair. But I basically have to be able to have like, you know, all the shit moved in one go, but essentially, and then just be like, you know, I also typically have to get like, have somebody come and clean the apartment after I move. Cause again, I just don't have time. Like I'm a mail carrier. When the days that I'm taking off is to like supervise, like when I move, it's to supervise like the move, do like the final little things, be there when the internet's turned on, like all of that shit. It is not for moving. You know what I mean? So it's not for me to move my shit. So, and I don't have the energy for that. Like once you're like being a mail carrier and like you're on your feet all the time, Absolutely not. You're not really interested in moving yourself. Speaking of the baby, I think it's finally time where I can take him outside. Because now it is only, let's see, 96 degrees. I'm still staying in Texas, Janet. I'm probably not going to be able to get out of Texas for quite a while because you just do not do all of this work to get here. And by here, I mean go regular as a regular carrier. Because when you're an RCA, when you're on the rural side, you can't just like do this. You can't just transfer. You actually have to have somebody who wants to transfer from their office to your office specifically. So if you don't have that, you're putting yourself in jeopardy of like all this mess. So I don't want to start over is where it comes from. I don't want to be worked into the dirt. And so I'm just here until I can figure things out, unless somehow magically, you know what I mean? I'm like, unless somehow magically one of my random internet bull things that I do pops off and I make enough money to where like when me and my mom are living together, I can just do that. But, you know, that's a whole other thing. Anyways, I'm going to drop these. We're going to go say hi to my fave, Chaos King. And depending on whether or not you have my emotes, depends on which one of these raid messages you can use. And we're going to just go in. We're going to say, hello. I hate moving. I thank y'all for chilling with me today. And like, I guess earlier this morning, actually, I feel like that's true. Is that true? Yes. Also, check out Audra Rains, that channel where I talk about The Idol and why it's hot garbage. Exactly. If I go to Maryland, there will be no transfer. It will be unlikely. And like, I would have to basically start all over again, which means I would not have my own life again. I'm not into it. But we will be talking about it more because now that I have dedicated and decided that it's just like, it's all stream summer because it's too hot. And then that way I can edit the streams for YouTube proper. We will chat about this for reals. All right. Let's go say hi to Josh and make him smile. I will see y'all in the next one. Love you so much. No, you're fine.